Now at 9, the search for a missing Oklahoma 4-year-old turns into a recovery operations. Plus, Fort Scott community celebrates the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And what a new report shows about the percentage of sports gambling revenue in Kansas going to providing treatment for gambling addicts.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Carrie Worthen. Authorities in Cyril, Oklahoma says the search for a missing 4-year-old girl is now considered a recovery operation. Athena Brownfield hasn't been seen since last Tuesday. On that day, her 5-year-old sister was found outside of her relative and caretaker's home by a postal carrier. Athena and her sister have been in the care of Alyssa and Ivan Adams for the last year. Allison Adams is facing charges of 2 counts of child neglect. Ivan Adams is facing 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of child neglect. He was arrested in Arizona last week and is awaiting extradition to Oklahoma. The OSBI and federal authorities arrested in Mays County, Oklahoma, man on a child pornography charges. Authorities say they received a tip last December about a child pornography uploaded through IP address belonging to Paul Cook. Paul Cook was arrested last Friday. He is charged with disruption of possession of child pornography, as well as violating the Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act. Chief Meteorologist Doug Huddy joins us with a first look at the weather.
Well, it actually turned out to be a pretty good Monday for us today. Temperatures, they were warm. It was windy, especially the first half of the day. 66, 59, well above our average high of 44 for this time of the year. But look at our temps over the past 36 hours, near 60. Yesterday, we went into the mid 60s for highs today, so pretty good temperatures, at least over the past couple days. 47 in Nevada, Neosho 53, Veneta sitting at 50, Parsons much of the same. We do have a few mid and upper level clouds kind of skirting through the area, but not too much is going on. But we are tracking our next storm system out toward the west. That will start to affect us tomorrow night and then heading into Wednesday. For us tonight, quiet. We'll drop back upper 30s. Plenty of sunshine to start the day, of course. We'll look at that next storm system here in just a bit.
Fort Scott Community College joined with other groups across our nation today to celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. KOAM's Yana Hotela visited the event and talked with organizers and participants.
Some residents in Fort Scott joined the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, hosted by the Gordon Parks Museum inside the Ellis Fine Arts Center.
Legacy that Martin left behind, to continue that we're start fighting some of the same struggles that happened with the civil rights and till today in 2023. So we want to continue the education of that, to let people know the struggle that continues to go, and we just need to keep moving forward.
The day included a free lunch and learn event with guest speaker John Edgar Tidwell from the University of Kansas. He talked about John Lewis's phrase, good trouble, in relations to humanity.
How can we think about the humanities in times of crisis, in times of distress, in times of contentiousness? What role do the humanities play in that particular environment? And so I started with the notion of good trouble.
The event gathered a great amount of people from the area to listen and discuss with Tidwell.
There are a lot of things I didn't really think about, but now I'm like, hey, that actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it was pretty enlightening.
To celebrate the day of service, the museum hosted a food drive for a local food pantry beacon.
We wanted to use this as a day of service because Martin Luther King Day is just not a day off. It should be a day on, and it's a national day of service. So we wanted to do a day of service on top of everything else. So this is our second year doing the day of service for the Camp Food Drive, and this year is truly successful.
In Fort Scott, Yana Hautala, KOAM News.
Officials say the food drive was a success, doubling the amount collected during last year's efforts. Pittsburgh State University's Black Student Association held their annual candlelight vigil in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As community members and students gathered with candles around the oval at PSU, everyone who attended sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing." Members of the association read part of Martin Luther King's speech. Then the floor was open to anyone who wanted to share what today meant to them.
Personally, it means a lot of growth, especially in the African American community. It's good to remember those who came before us and did a lot for us, and I think it's very It's very good to get together and be with people who mean a lot to you and talk about why MLK is important and why it's good to keep his memory alive.
This is the third year for Martin Luther King Jr. Visual. If you bought a Mega Million ticket in Southeast Kansas about a week ago, you want to take a look at it. It seems a ticket sold in Southeast Kansas for the January 10th drawing matched all 5 numbers, but not the Mega Ball. Even though that ticket wasn't enough for the grand prize, it's still worth a cool $1 million. And at last report, the $1 million was still unclaimed. The winning numbers in that drawing were 7, 13, 14, 15, 18, and Mega Ball 9. Betting on sports in Kansas has attracted many. More than $700 million worth of bets were placed last year, according to the initial numbers released by the Kansas Lottery. That's just with the first 4 months that betting has been legal in the state. But as Sean Lodging reports, only a small percentage of that is going to help people dealing with problems gambling.
It's part of the experience for many Kansans now to watch a game and place a bet.
It can be fun, but you have to balance that with limiting yourself.
When that fun turns into a problem, South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force Chair Stephanie Roberts works to help people overcome it. Sports betting, she says, has a higher risk of trouble.
Part of that is because of the mobile wagering. It allows for like instantaneous and immediate gambling.
Stephanie says something lacking from the Kansas sports betting law is funding to help those in crisis because of it.
Resources to assist people who develop problems have gradually declined in this state. We used to be known as the, gold star.
The Kansas Problem Gambling and Addictions Grant Fund is one of the main ways to fund resources and services. It's expected to have about $8 million for fiscal year 2023, which runs between July of last year and June of this year. It's funded through 2% of state-owned casinos' gaming revenue and $80,000 from the State Gaming Revenue Fund transferred in once a year. From the state's share of sports betting revenue, the grant fund gets a small amount.
Instead of problem gambling coming first, all this other money comes out first.
Early estimates had sports betting making the state $1.8 million in 2023. $750,000 will go into the white-collar crime fund, and 80% of what's left goes to a fund to attract a professional sports team. The Problem Gambling and Addictions Grant Fund, Stephanie says, gets 2% of what remains. Based on the $1.8 million estimate,
the Problem Gambling Fund is only going to receive $4,200, which is nothing when you talk about we have people that we need to send to inpatient treatment programs.
Even if people need help, Stephanie says one of the biggest challenges is letting people know they're here.
I have people all the time that haven't heard about these services.
The Problem Gambling and Addictions Grant Fund covers counseling and treatment services at no out-of-cost pocket, along with education and prevention work. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. John Anderson served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 1946. The Helper, Kansas native, was stationed in the Philippines and received an America's Service Medal and a Philippine Liberation Ribbon with a Bronze Star, among other awards. We salute John Anderson, a four-state hero. Coming up, it's good news for coffee lovers. It seems that coffee carries some benefits for your body, especially for your liver. Good news for coffee lovers. Despite its mixed reviews throughout the years, it seems that coffee carries some benefits for your body, especially for your liver. Fox's April Baker has more.
There's more to a cup of coffee than what meets the eye.
Writing these grind settings down and like charting everything is all about the process.
When talking with Everett Hamby and Wyatt Henry at Three Pines Coffee in Salt Lake City, they say it's more like a science, involving different coffee flavor profiles and extraction methods.
It involves a lot of problem solving to create good coffee.
But coffee is also proving to be a good remedy for patients with liver diseases. That's what Dr. Richard Gilroy says. He's Intermountain Healthcare's liver transplant medical director.
Coffee's greatest benefits are in alcohol-associated liver disease and also in fatty liver disease.
Both cause excess fat to build up in the liver, and if left untreated, can lead to liver scarring, cancers, and ultimately the need for a liver transplant. Gilroy says Intermountain Healthcare and University of Utah Health Systems saw 119 Utahns need liver transplants last year, a record number.
I think what we need to also do is say, let's give everyone a little helping hand in the morning.
And that helping hand is in the form of 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day, caffeinated or decaf. Also, Gilroy says pay attention to what you put in your coffee. Avoid heavy cream and sugars. Drinking it black is best. But coffee can only do so much to curbing this problem that impacts millions nationwide.
What we need to work on, however, in the community is addressing the risk factors, which is obesity, which is continuing to rise.
Gilroy says lifestyle changes like eating less and exercising more can make a difference. All while you enjoy that morning cup of joe. Reporting in Salt Lake City, April Baker, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, the Columbus Titans take on the Neosho Bull Streaks to kick off the Lancer Classic basketball tournament.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. We have partly sunny skies. It was mild. It was also very windy, especially through the morning hours. And the winds have kind of died down a bit, at least over the past couple hours. Looks good. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at our temps. Earlier today, pretty good. About 66 in Pineville, Seneca 67, Chatopa 63, 59 in Fort Scott. So most of us went into the mid 60s and we've dropped off a bit. It's not bad. It's 50 in Sarcoxie, Stockton at 49. We have Bonita at 50, Yates Center is sitting at about 45 degrees. We'll drop back upper 30s tonight. Not as cold as what we definitely could be. You can see the winds have died down. We have a light westerly wind at about 5 to 10. Looking outside, 7th and range line, sitting at 55. West-southwesterly winds at 9. Humidity's not bad at about 47%. Through the overnight hours, upper 30s, start the day with sunshine during the morning. We do have a few clouds kind of skirting through right now. It's not a big deal. One storm system racing off toward the east, but this is pretty much our weather for tomorrow. And then we jump into this storm system. This is our next system that will start to affect us later on tonight. You can see a little area of low pressure right out across, right about Vegas. It's going to pull out into the Central Plains over the next 36 to 48 hours, and that will change our weather up just a bit. But it's going to be quiet tonight. We dip back 38 to about 40 degrees for an overnight low. As we go through the morning hours, nice warm up, upper 50s. We get into the 60s again. Look how the clouds increase as we get into the afternoon hours. 39 to start, 57 by noon, a high temp right around 62. We're going to have northeasterly winds light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, clouds continue to thicken. Light showers start developing right around midnight or so. We'll see light showers, hit and miss showers into the morning hours. And then as we go through Wednesday morning, a band of showers, even some thunderstorms are going to press through. Some of these could be a little bit stronger, not severe, just a little bit on the loud side, but at least we'll get some decent amounts of rain. These quickly exit by Wednesday afternoon, and then we just kind of sit with cooler temperatures, clouds, maybe a few flurries as we go into Thursday morning. Rainfall amounts, not bad. I think most of us will get a quarter to a half an inch, maybe a little bit more once you get out across southeastern Kansas where you see the blues. The chances for rain or the amounts will be a little bit higher. Look at the timing. Here's 11 p.m., here's 3 a.m., all the way through the morning, so you can see those chances really going up on Wednesday morning. And then we have another storm system that we have to keep our eyes on as we head into the weekend. 62 tomorrow, thunderstorms on a Wednesday, 45, a little bit cooler on Thursday. Friday back near 50, rain, maybe some snow. As we head into the weekend, we're going to dig into that one a little bit more in our second half hour.
Look at the low difference between the 50 and the 33. It's a big difference.
Yeah, temperature's kind of all over the place.
All right, well, thank you, Doug.
Yep.
More severe weather is threatening millions in California as another round of rain soaks the state. This after weeks of relentless rain is being blamed for widespread flooding and nearly 24 deaths. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has more from Malibu, California.
Following a series of severe storms, California getting one last gut punch from Mother Nature. Rain and snow continues to fall on the already storm-battered state, making travel treacherous, forcing evacuations and prompting new fears about more flooding.
This has been an unusual season.
At least 10 storms dropping more than 40 inches of rain on parts of California since the end of December. Millions are under flood alerts this holiday weekend as another round of atmospheric river storms slams the state. While relentless rain has helped ease some of the drought conditions, it's also to blame for rising rivers and streams. Drivers facing dangerous conditions with roads inundated with water, washed away or closed because of the fallen debris. Statewide, thousands of homes have been evacuated. First responders called to rescue hundreds trapped.
In the city alone, 5,000 homes evacuated, 1,600 people displaced at one point, 400 people rescued.
But not everyone survived the storms.
These weather events have taken more lives in the last 2 years than the wildfires. That's how deadly these are.
Meanwhile, snow is the concern for those in the Sierra Nevadas. Officials issuing a backcountry avalanche warning for parts of the mountain region through Monday.
I'm kind of wishing it would quit for a while. I'm tired of it.
Over the weekend, President Biden approved a disaster declaration as folks clean up the destruction left in the storm's wake. The weather is expected to dry up by the end of the week, giving the Golden State some much-needed relief. In Malibu, California, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Coming up, according to a new report, U.S. cancer deaths are down.
Positive news in the medical community showing cancer deaths in the United States are down over 30% in 3 decades. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with more on that report coming up.
A highly transmissible Omicron subvariant is now counted as 43% of COVID cases in the U.S. The Centers for Disease Control says the rise of the XBB.1.5 strand is connected to the uptick in cases over the last 6 weeks. Experts say the current booster shot continue to protect against severe infection. U.S. cancer deaths are way down, according to a new report. 3.8 million lives have been saved. Fox News correspondent Madeline Riviere reports from Washington.
For the medical community, it's the news they've been waiting to hear.
Since the peak of cancer death rates, which happened in this country in 1991, we are now reporting a 33% decline in cancer mortality.
The data marks an important milestone in the fight against cancer. There are several reasons for the drop in fatalities per the American Cancer Society.
Primary amongst them is the decline in smoking. So upwards of 19% of cancers in this country every year are attributed directly to smoking.
Early detection and improvements in treatment are also driving deaths down. And the White House is hoping to take more strides. President Biden's Cancer Moonshot program aims to cut the death rate from cancer by at least 50% over the next 25 years. His own son, Beau, died from brain cancer in 2015. And just this week, First Lady Jill Biden had 3 skin lesions removed, 2 of which were cancerous.
Thank God she's doing really well.
Even though deaths are decreasing, the report also shows the number of breast and prostate cancers are going up.
Individual differences in the genetic makeup of each of us that makes us prone to cancer. So it's actually personalized medicine that's going to cure cancer.
In more positive news, cases of cervical cancer dropped 65% among women in their early 20s, the first cohort to receive the HPV vaccine, raising hope among some medical experts that cervical cancer could one day be put to an end. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Up next, an adopted puppy will be scoring touchdowns and stealing hearts at the upcoming Puppy Bowl. A Denver family didn't realize their newly adopted puppy is going to be a star. Turtle is going to be scoring touchdowns and stealing hearts on the upcoming Puppy Bowl. Danny Powers loves animals, especially dogs. That's one reason she became a veterinarian. So when Dr. Danny Powers and her fiance Lindsay wanted to adopt a puppy of their own, they contacted Jenny Lopez, a Lifeline puppy rescue. There they chose a Turtle, a 6-month-old pit bull mixed breed. Little did they know Turtle would be a star seen by millions on the Animal Planet. Before Turtle was adopted, Lifeline Puppy Rescue submitted Turtle's and other puppies' pics for consideration. Animal Planet's Puppy Bowl is pre-taped and already in the can, but for Danny and Lindsay, it doesn't matter to them if the Team Rough or Team Tough wins because they know Turtle is a winner. 30 more minutes of news and weather and sports is coming your way. Coming up, we'll learn about a nonprofit in Springfield that's already looking forward to making sure everyone has a happy Easter.
It's a major victory for law and order. Italy's most wanted crime boss has been arrested. Greg Palka in London. That's my story. Coming up.
Only 2 weeks have passed since the last holidays, and already many people are gearing up for the next big celebration. As Chad Plain reports in Springfield, a Lifetime nonprofit is very busy making sure everyone can enjoy a happy Easter.
On Bennett Street near Scenic, there's a nonprofit with a wealth of satisfied employees.
How long have you been working here?
12 years.
12. How long have you been working here?
25 years.
Why? Why have you worked here so long?
I got a cool boss named Michelle over there.
Cool boss.
The workshop at SWI Industrial Solutions is busy all of the time, especially now. The Easter Bunny needs these Sunny Bunny Easter eggs filled.
Our whole goal is to provide quality and dignified employment for people with disabilities.
For the past 14 years, they've lined up purple, pink, blue, and yellow eggs, dropped a sweet treat inside, then popped them closed.
Our goal this year is $13.5 million. We really think we're going to reach it.
Since January 1st, they've already shipped out 800,000 eggs across the United States, each one sealed with care.
What do you like most about working here?
I do like eggs.
Yeah.
I just like the people here, and I just like the work.
I like the tasks.
I like the people the most.
Why?
Because I have a lot of friends to work with.
And the friends at work, almost as important as the work itself.
Without the workshop, there'd be people sitting at home watching TV, and the quality of life wouldn't be as much as it is being here. And
SWI was created in 1966 as the Springfield Workshop. Some parents got together and wanted more for their kids. 60 years ago, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for many adults with disabilities to have a job.
Their first big job was putting the plastic grapes for like displays on the stems. And again, now we look that we do so much more.
SWI does subcontracting work for many companies. On this day, employees were also popping gaskets into nozzles and packing hot sauce for distribution.
Our employees take a lot of pride in their work, and it shows. And that's why we have these customers, you know, major corporations we've had for over 25 and 30 years.
And friendships for a lifetime.
Yeah, a lot of friends, and and girlfriend too.
Oh, okay.
She was the break.
Monday's the happiest day here because they are back with their friends, their co-workers, back to work and making a difference. They're making a difference. Friday's the least happy because it's going to be a couple days before they're back with their peers.
SWI also operates 2 other successful final assembly and packaging facilities in Southwest Missouri. Republicans in Congress are demanding to know who may have had access to classified documents found at President Biden's former Capitol Hill office and his Delaware home. House Oversight Chairman James Comer sent a letter to the White House requesting the visitor log of President Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home since he was elected. White House officials say they turned over 5 more documents found at the president's home over the weekend to DOJ officials and that they are fully cooperating with the special counsel's investigation. Rescuers are racing against time in Ukraine, sifting through the rubble after one of Russia's deadliest attacks on civilians in the entire war. One missile killed at least 30 people when it hit an apartment building in the city of Dnipro on Saturday. About 1,700 people lived in the multi-story building. At last report, 39 people have been rescued and 30 more remain missing. Italy's most notorious mafia kingpin is now in custody after Italian police ended a 30-year manhunt on Monday morning. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palka has more from London.
He spent decades as the world's most wanted organized crime fugitive. Now, Italian mafia boss Matteo Denaro is behind bars. He was arrested on Monday in Sicily after 30 years on the run, having been tried and convicted in absentia of dozens of murders. Italian police say the capture was the culmination of years of investigations that ultimately led to a private healthcare clinic in Palermo.
Officers of the Special Operation Group, as part of investigations coordinated by the Public Prosecutor's Office, arrested the fugitive Matteo Denaro in a healthcare facility where he went for treatments.
After the arrest was announced, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni flew to Sicily to personally thank the officers involved in the operation, calling it a, quote, great victory of the state. Denaro was the last of 3 major mafia kingpins who had evaded capture. All 3 were ultimately arrested in the same area of Sicily, underscoring the difficult task of reining in the mafia's power and influence throughout Italy. Even during his time on the run, Denaro was considered the country's top Cosa Nostra boss. And officials there say, while this is a big win, it's far from a knockout punch, with the mafia still deeply entrenched in Italy's power structure.
When we talk about power, we have to think that the mafia actually put their people in administrative positions. They have dozens in public administration.
Denaro was taken to a secret location after his arrest. He now faces multiple life sentences. In London, Greg Falcon, Fox News.
A little bit later, using artificial leaves to go green.
Renewable energy made from artificial leaves could power the technology of the future. I'm Marianne Rafferty with a look at the devices making hydrogen from air and sunlight. Coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. Temperatures mid-60s for highs, which, hey, we'll definitely take. And it still looks pretty good for us right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Look at the temps. Earlier today, most of us low to mid-60s across the board. Now we've dropped off a little bit. We got some 40s out there, Garnett, Chanute, Fort Scott, Nevada, upper 40s. Everybody else is kind of sitting in that 50 to 55 degree range. It was also very windy. The winds have really died down, which is good, and they're going to stay fairly low as we go through the overnight hours. Tonight, 55 westerly winds, 5 to 10, humidity at 47%. Through the overnight, we drop back into the 30s. Plenty of sunshine to start the day, and then we're going to start to get some clouds in here by the second half of the day. We have a few shooting through as of right now, but one storm system is exiting the region. Here comes our next storm system building the western third of the country, and this is going to zoom out into the central plains by tomorrow night, giving us chances for rain tomorrow night and then into the daytime hours on Wednesday. All right, let's step through time. Pretty much clear skies tonight, upper 30s to near 40, so it is going to be chilly across the region. By noon, few mid and upper level clouds increasing. You can see a temperature spread from upper 40s to upper 50s in our southern counties. Most of us go into the 60s tomorrow, but our northern counties will hang into the 50s. Southern counties will stay into the lower to mid 60s for tomorrow night. Clouds really thicken up tomorrow evening. Here come the showers. So we're looking at 1 a.m., so mainly after midnight tomorrow night. There's going to be light showers, but increasing throughout the night. So here's 6 a.m. on Wednesday. Even a few thunderstorms get going and plow off toward the east. So here's 10 a.m. on Wednesday. These could be a little loud. They should not be strong or severe, which is good. And at least we'll get some rain. Then these are gone as we head into mid-afternoon on Wednesday. Then we kind of settle in with the clouds, may get a few flurries as we go into Thursday morning. So that's our next system. We have another one right behind it. All right, rainfall amounts. I think most of us will pick up a quarter to a half an inch. Kansas side, a little bit more, maybe upwards to 3/4 of an inch of rain. And you can see timing, 11 p.m. tomorrow, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., and then starting to trail off as we get into the afternoon hours on Wednesday as this storm system continues to push through the region. Let's go down the road. So as we head into the weekend, here's our next storm system. Right now it's looking like rain will start to increase, but we may get a little bit of snow on the backside. So this is something we want to watch as we go through the next several days. All right, 62 tomorrow, 60 on Wednesday, a little bit cooler Thursday and Friday. That storm system over the weekend, another break on Monday, and then chances for rain and snow again by the middle of next week.
As my youngest would say, it's a pattern.
It is. It's all over the place.
That's a very widespread 10-day forecast.
It is.
I don't think the temperatures are bad.
No, not too bad.
No. All right, thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Coming up in sports, the Kansas City Chiefs prepare for their playoffs opener against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Plus, the Lancer Classic begins at Southeast High School. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more next.
Today is the opening day of the Lancer Classic at Southeast High School. The boys bracket gets started today with the girls bracket scheduled to begin tomorrow. We're starting things off this afternoon. Columbus Titans on the floor against the Neodesha Shea Blue Streaks. Colt Ungehauer pick and roll early with Brett Hamilton. Hamilton rolls and finishes. And check out Ungehauer here. Drives, spins, and scoops it off the window. Ungehauer now on the break behind everybody. Two-handed jam. Columbus really rolled in this one from the opening tip. Now on the other side though, Crew Johnson made a few nice plays for Neodesha Shea. None cooler than this one. Beats the first quarter buzzer with the deep three off the glass. In the end though, it is Columbus cruising in their Lancer Classic opener 80-29. After that, the tournament hosts Lancers 7-1 on a 5-game winning streak, face Parsons in round one. Second quarter, Landon Wheat on the steal for Parsons. Gets up for the two-handed jam. It was a competitive first half. Easton Wren, strong drive and finish for the Lancers. Parsons, though, up 13 at half, and they would close this thing strong. Second half, Jesse Jones, floater in the lane. He scores 10 tonight for the Vikings. Landon Wheat, again, one-hander. He put on a show, 19 points. Dante Sawyer, open on the far side, knocks down the three. 10 points tonight for Sawyer. And finally, Demias Johnson, top of the key. Long ball rattles in. Parsons hammers Southeast in the second half, going on to win it 69-34. In the college game, the latest AP national rankings are out today. Kansas Jayhawks stay at number 2 this week. The last time out, they held on against Iowa State 62-60 to get to 5-0 in the Big 12. The Kansas State Wildcats are down 2 spots, from number 11 to number 13 after Saturday's loss to TCU. Arkansas also slips this week. The Razorbacks are down 10 spots from 15 to 25 after that upset loss to Vanderbilt and the Missouri Tigers. They were number 20. Then they were upset by Florida. The Tigers have dropped out of the top 25. Well, after a bye week to open the NFL playoffs, it's game week again for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs will play at home this weekend, facing the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC divisional round. Now, this game is scheduled for 3:30 on Saturday in Kansas City. The winner moves on to play for the AFC Championship. Right now, the Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. With the second meeting of the season between these two teams, Kansas City beat Jacksonville 27-17 in Kansas City back in November. Since that game, though, the Jags, they've been really good. They've gone 7-1 since their loss to Kansas City. And that includes winning their playoff opener last week against the Chargers. In that game, Jacksonville overcame a 27-0 deficit to beat LA 31-30. It's the third largest comeback in NFL history. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
You definitely won't find these leaves growing in nature. Fox News correspondent Moran Rafferty takes a look at the artificial leaves scientists say can generate clean, renewable energy from thin air and sunlight.
Natural leaves generate oxygen we need to survive. But now, scientists in Switzerland are unveiling new artificial leaves which create hydrogen, a clean, renewable energy source researchers say can be used to heat homes, power transportation, and more.
Natural photosynthesis occurs by taking carbon dioxide from the air together with sunlight and produces sugar, effectively storing the sun's light in a chemical form. Well, we wanted to do the same thing, take sunlight and water from the air and store that sunlight energy in the form of hydrogen.
The artificial leaf is made from special glass fibers designed to trap moisture in the air. Then, when exposed to sunlight, the technology converts the water vapor into hydrogen.
the sun doesn't shine all of the time. So we need a way to store the sunlight for future use. Storing the sunlight in the form of hydrogen is a leading method to do this.
Currently, hydrogen is being used to power select cars from brands like Hyundai and Toyota. According to Car and Driver, hydrogen cars in the U.S. are only available in California, the only state with hydrogen fueling stations. This ferry along the west coast of the U.S. and select public buses in the U.K. also run on hydrogen. In the future, researchers hope to see artificial leaf systems harnessing the renewable resource in communities around the world. The artificial leaf technology is still in its infancy. Researchers say their next steps are to increase the efficiency of the leaf's hydrogen production. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Coming up, Rob Lowe produced and stars in a new feel-good film about a beloved pet. We'll get a preview. Rob Lowe produced and stars in a new feel-good film about the impact of a beloved pet can have on a family. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the story.
I promise you we will find that dog.
Rob Lowe, Kimberly Williams Paisley, and Johnny Birchall desperately search for their beloved pet in Netflix's book-to-screen adaptation, Dog Gone.
It's impossible to go wrong with a dog movie. But I love the other story of a family coming together and healing through their search for this lost dog.
The film is based on a true story about a father who reconnects with his son while they journey along the Appalachian Trail to find their four-legged best friend, a golden retriever named Gonker.
He has a hard time connecting with his parents because they are so career-focused and they want that for him, but he doesn't know who he wants to be. And then he finds Gonker, and he is just as free-spirited as him. And so I think for the first time ever, he's found a companion who really understands him on a deeper level than anyone else. And so I think it makes the search that much more important to him.
People are reaching out from all over the world. Kimberly Williams Paisley plays the mother whose determination to find the lost pup was triggered by a childhood trauma.
She lost a dog when she was little and never got over it. And so at first she's hesitant to let another dog into her heart because it was so painful. But in sort of being the command central for the search for Gonker, she is determined to find him, and she finds ultimately a lot of healing from her past that she probably didn't even know she needed.
We will find that dog.
The family drama is now streaming on Netflix. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a rhino at Kansas City Zoo taking part in a gender reveal event. Be safe. Let's do this all again tomorrow. See you then.